Hello and welcome to the show. We are here today on BeamNG Drive at the Proving Ground Circuit, going to be driving some more vehicles till destruction, starting with an interesting one. I mean, to be fair, a Delorean around this sort of circuit might just break down on the way to the track, let alone starting drive around the track. However, there is a Delorean mod for this game, and I'm going to expect it to fall apart quite quickly. We might be pleasantly surprised. I do hope so. It would be funny if this lasted a really, really long time, but I'm not expecting that from it. It is rear-engined? I think it's rear-engined. Engines, yeah, it's going to be rear-engined. The engines at the back, rear-engine, rear-wheel drive, is kind of good around here in some ways. Means the engine is less likely to take a battering because, well, you often land on the nose of the car. A front-engine, front-wheel drive car, for example, all the very important bits that make a car drive and work are all at the front, and the front is very heavy. So it tends to, not only does it tend to land nose first, you're also landing on all the important bits. Here, the important bits are a little bit more protected. The radiator, well, that's at the front, and that may well get knocked out. They changed the particle effects. There's been an update to this game. That water seems to be a lot more splashy than it was before. Not that it really matters all that much. But yeah, theoretically this could survive well. It's actually taken these first few bumps and stuff with relative ease. It's quite softly sprung, so it's kind of bouncing nicely. Softly sprung is good for this. The wobblematic suspension is good as long as it doesn't break. If it breaks, then you're in real trouble, but if it's not broken, then it can actually keep a car alive for a little while. You see, like around here, it does ping around a bit, but the incredibly stiff sports cars have big issues around that sort of section, whereas this doesn't really. We should be quick enough up here. Yeah, we are. Come on, get a nice flight. We're not quite at 88 miles an hour around there. That's a heavy landing, but it's taken it in its stride. Not crazy. Oh, that's not what I needed. Did that break a front wheel? No, we didn't. Okay, that's good. Oh, car? Was that just the diff being terrible? I think it was. Okay, never mind. For a second, I had a horrible feeling something was broken as we went to set off. However, I do believe that was just a diff. It was just the angle the car was at. There's a concern, though, if one rear wheel goes, the diff is definitely very open. It's a concern, actually, if suspension starts damaging. I mean, we saw what happened. Oh, ow. Okay, that rear wheel is a concern now. The rear right wheel is at a very... I mean, it's getting on for the stance levels of camber in that one, which is not particularly what we want. Oh, God, there's a crunch and a half there for the car. Oh, radiator's gone. Well, that was always going to happen. There's always likely to. If the rear wheel holds on for the length of time it takes for the car to overheat, I'll be quite surprised. The state the rear wheel is in. Oh, we're coming up to the crescendo jump here. There goes the front bumper. Can we survive this? Please don't snap the rear wheel off. Oh, the exhaust is damaged. It landed awkwardly. Suspension is bouncing the car around something horrible, but it is still alive. The rear wheel is still there. We still have drive. All is... I wouldn't go as far as saying good, but all is still functioning. Let's go for that. In the land of the Delorean, please don't land on that rear wheel anymore. Oh, you know what? Now, normally the rear of the car doesn't take much damage. We see this fairly regularly with this series. At the back of the car, because most of the impacts are done on the front, normally the rear wheels are okay, or for the majority of the time the rear wheels are okay. It's actually got a nice bit of cooling through shallow grave. Oh, that's going to snap a wheel if I slide over those, because it's at a bad angle already. If I slide over them too much, it's going to snap it back the other way. I can imagine that would ping it off quite quickly. God, this thing is not quick, but that is true of the Delorean. It is not a quick car. Oh, dear. Not a quick car, not much grip either. Not helped by the damage realignment, shall we say, that has gone on. Barely looks like that wheel's even connected anymore. That's hanging on by a thread here. One big hit, either across shafted or dove, at one of those jumps, I suspect it's going to land and snap the wheel off. Until then, like, these bits don't seem to do too much to it. It's around there okay. Yeah, it bobbles a little bit, but nothing too bad. Oh, come on, car. There we go. Oh, here's a test for it. Ooh, it was a crunch. The whole exhaust sort of back box has come off, but nothing else. Still the wheel clings on. I'm trying to see if we can see by how much or how little the wheel is clinging on by. I suspect the answer is not very at that angle. The other side is starting to get bad as well. But it's better that it, that it bends like that than just snaps off immediately. That does give us half a chance of carrying on. I think it's the 200BX has a sort of similar thing, not quite in this way, but that has the wheel axles kind of hold together surprisingly well, all things considered. They'll bend and buckle and make it really difficult to drive the car, but they do stay together for quite a long time. Oh. That is not what we needed in the Delorean. Upside down machine. We have a look at the underside of the car here. Oh, it stops spinning around. Oh, come on. Over we go. Oh, awkward angle to get the car back over, but it has been righted. It's just done more damage in the roll. Not much more damage, to be honest. The car was already pretty busted. So yeah, but it's buckled. It's the rear suspension is really what's giving this car the most grief here. It's now billowing smoke. Ooh, that's a really horrible hit on the front. I think the engine's exploded. Well, the engine was taking damage and that landing, it's just gone. The car's grinding to a halt. The engine has broken. I don't quite know in what way. I guess the engine fell apart internally. It was going okay. I thought we might have enough time to get it back to the shallow grave and cool it a little bit, but I think it's too much damage done. Overheating. I think that's an overheating failure to the engine. It's a nasty hit, certainly on the landing. The rear suspension was knackered. Surprised that rear wheel didn't break, if I'm honest with you. Oh wait, is the engine come back to life? I'm clicking on the start button and it isn't starting. No, okay, so the engine's gone from being red to orange, however, the engine doesn't start. I think we had the Bolide did that at some point as well. No, the engine isn't starting. It's not working for the Delorean. It's knackered. It's had it. I mean, it could have been a lot worse. It could have been a lot worse, that one. Up next, we have got a Legran. This is the Legran Aerocoupe. I quite like it. It's like a facelift rebodied version of a Legran. And while it's not the prettiest car in the world, I don't know. I kind of like it. This is the sport version, turbo V6, front-wheel drive still. So it showed a decent amount of pace. Of course, it does have the front-wheel drive issues. Kind of mentioned it when talking about the Delorean. All the important bits are at the front. And the front gets hit a lot around a course like this. So, yeah, we will have to wait and see how this goes. Some front-wheel drive cars, like the Zima's been awful here. All generations of Zima have been completely useless around here. Yet the Corvette was really good. The Corvette that's normally terrible was really good. So, I mean, maybe this will do alright. It's really if the drive can survive it. If the wheel axles can survive the punishment that's going to go through them. If they can, fantastic. It'll probably be overheating that kills it. Or something weird. But if they aren't quite strong enough to survive the punishing course that we have here, well, I say any axle can't, but yeah, they tend to be the weak link. That's the one I'm looking for. If they're a stronger link in the car, then yeah, maybe it'll do all right. Who knows? Maybe there'll be something truly bizarro go on for this one and falls apart in a completely different way. You never know. Up into the spin as we go. Carefully does it through here. There's a little bit of a weird line through all of that. Got some kind of understeer, and I think we've got some wheel spinners that try to pull off. Regardless, we're out the other side. The car is in pretty good nick. It should be quite quick now. It should be relatively fast. It's got a decent engine in it. Might have to go for a little bit of a lift up here. We don't really want to go. Oh, get the nose. Oh, that didn't take out the radiator. I'm amazed. I really want to get the nose up, but there's not much I can do. You can kind of keep on the throttle, and you can kind of rotate the cars a small bit in the air. But it's not going to be much. It's not really going to counteract the vehicle's flight path crazy amounts. Over Dover we head. Again, landed quite nice and level. Front wheels still all working. Good. Bobbled around something horrible, but it has made it. This section here, it's quite nasty. Especially because it's like a jump mid-corner. Oh, tends to land on that front. It's the front right, really, that takes the brunt of the punishment. around this course. Oh. Especially if you're trying to correct a car as it's bowling around, landing heavily on the nose. Well, it's hopefully going to make a lap with a radiator in one piece. It's not in too bad nick. Oh, that landed really heavily on the back of the car. That's fine. Do some damage on the back of the car. I don't care about that. If the back wheels fall off, it doesn't matter. I mean, it does a bit, but... I'd rather have the back wheels fall off than the back wheels bent. Because the back wheels bent makes it horrible to drive. If the back wheels fall off, then, well, the car's going to have no performance. It probably gets snagged on speed bumps or something. Regardless, yeah, if we lost the back wheels, it would still be movable in some capacity. Limited, but some. Ugh, through the water we head. I mean, it's not in too bad a shape at the moment. I mean, the at the moment part is the important bit. One big hit, and I can imagine this will lose a wheel. Or drive, or both perhaps even. Radiator is still good though, which is kind of a surprise for this. Especially, it's a surprise in as far as, well, A, I don't expect this car necessarily to have the strongest radiator, and B, it's landed really heavily on the nose. Like, really heavily on the nose. That's almost a guaranteed. Oh, God. Okay, turned a little bit too soon there. The spinner has smacked the window and only the window. As far as collisions with a spinner goes, that's quite nice. I mean, they're spinning at 70 miles an hour, which is quite a lot of... There's a lot of weight and a lot of speed. Come on, nose up. There goes the radiator. Well, it was never going to last forever doing that sort of stuff. Kind of understandable, really. Oh, make the turn. There we go. Now, if we can get... Provided this isn't a crazy... Well, A, provided it's not a complete disintegration of the radiator in one hit. It can be sometimes. We should get around to shallow grave. We can hope that the vehicle's going to be cooled a little bit and it'll just prolong the drive. It'll just let the car survive that little bit longer, although I don't know. Ooh, I didn't really turn left there. Maybe it's just where... maybe it's just positioning and everything, but it did feel like we started to lose some steering. The exhaust looks like it's hanging on barely. Car, yeah, okay, so the car is pulling now to the right quite badly. Still got enough steering, so more than enough steering to carry on. I'm not too fearful of this car going into the spinners. Oh! Jeez. Back end is bouncy. That really just got fired into the air. I had no control over that. That was going to do whatever the hell it wanted to do. I'm glad it didn't go straight... Oh! There goes the drive. I'm gonna guess... No, we do still have drive. It's picking... Or maybe still have drive. Might have been because we're going downhill. Can we climb up? Well, maybe it'll have drive. I'm not actually sure. Does it have enough drive to climb up this hill? It has some. Okay. It has lost the front left. So we are a one-wheel drive car on the front right. The front right was the one that was looking the most broken. That's concerning, but I mean, it's still good for 30, 40 miles an hour. It is... Oh, struggling to turn now. Oh, and it is going to overheat at the end of the day. This is just how far can we go. Come on, car. It's going to overheat more as well, so I've got to rework it to drive with the one wheel spinning. Okay, how do we manage through here? Oh, God. Not good. Not good. Can I be cheeky? Come on. Oh, no, it's got over. The spinner's going over. I could try and get that spinner to knock me forward, but it didn't. I just went there, went to turn the car, and just nothing. It just went straight. It has been flattened by a spinner, and now it's got no drive at all. The engine is still alive, but it lost both sides. The exhaust has fallen off, and that's that. I mean, I guess technically steering is what put that out. In that it just ran out of steering. I mean, if that had been a normal corner, it wouldn't have made the corner, so it just happened to be it went into the spinner. Spinner did damage after the fact, but yeah, that's busted steering. It is the first car to sit underneath the spinner, though, so it has got a first on its hands. And the final vehicle to take on this course today is the Bolide. This is a rally spec of the car. It's a kind of gravel rally spec as well, so we've got higher suspension, a bit softer suspension. In theory, should be kind of good. I mean, it's still a supercar at the end of the day, but it should be a better built to survive the demands of the proving grounds. It also continues visiting different sorts of drive lines. We're now mid-engined rear-wheel drive in this one. Let's go and fire the car up. See what happens. The Bolide itself, like the frame of this car, is normally very, very strong. It does take quite a lot to break it, so it could survive quite well with the better, more suited suspension. Now, of course, the radiator is still at the front of the car, and that would be a concern that we could puncture that and lose that fairly early on. Oh dear. It's also quite a quick car, quite a powerful car. It may go for a spin here and there. It's also got, it's not got turbo lag, it doesn't have turbos. Oh, the exhaust is off immediately. But at low RPMs it has nothing, at high RPMs it has a lot of power, which does make it a bit difficult to drive at times. Oh, so... Well, it's certainly difficult to drive at a track like this, where you're in all sorts of points in the rev range. I'm going to have to deal with it. Oh, there's the back end. It wants to come around and say hello already. Let's not be starting with that, please, car. We don't really need oversteering machine, if I'm honest. No, let's not go play with the spinners. Already feels funny to drive. It's already pulling. I don't know what that's from. There's one of the front wheels. Might be a little bit busted. Maybe the water section, or maybe landing with a jump somewhere. Whatever it is, something doesn't quite feel right in the steering already, and that's alarming. It's a very quick car, this, at the end of the day. Oh, that section's not nice. That, like, transition onto the dirt. Oh, before the jump, that's a huge bounce. It's not going to do the car any good. But we are also in one piece. Yeah, that sort of transition before the shafted jump, where it goes from sort of tarmac, there's a little crest, and then it's onto the dirt. Once it hits that dirt, the car just, I mean, it's on ice all of a sudden. It feels like that. It just kind of slides around. And I don't want it sliding around before a big jump. That's a recipe for a disaster. We want to take the jumps. Oh! Have we got bumper caught under the front of the car? Okay, this is something that does happen sometimes. I am allowed to remove offending pieces of bodywork. Can I just do that? I can remove that piece of bodywork without actually having to even use the node grabber to pull stuff around. That's good. We don't risk puncturing a tyre or breaking something further. Okay, I mean, yeah, bodywork falling off a vehicle is a hazard. You drive over your own bodywork sometimes. That relatively kind in how it ended up. That could have been a lot worse. As it was a low-speed section where it just slowly slid up into a wall. Didn't really do any more damage, so that's fine. It does mean we've lost the front bumper. That does help protect the radiator, but perhaps not a surprise. Thank you! Of course, literally as we've done it. Oh, okay, I saw we were heading towards that post and instinctively grabbed the brakes, and then the nose of the car dives down. That's not what we want to be doing. Particularly, that was, yeah, foolish. I can't actually slow the car down in the air, and I don't want the nose of the car hitting the floor if I can help it. But I say that, we can't really do much worse to the vehicle. The radiator's already gone. Well, I guess we'd lose front wheels, lose steering, that sort of bad stuff. Okay, maybe we can do worse to the vehicle. Do we cool down? Yes, actually cools down a lot through shallow grave. Well, that's good for longevity. It should keep going for a while with an overheating, the busted radiator. It might only be a small puncture in the radiator. It might be a slow leak from that, so it could take a while before we see overheating effects. Oh, there's the... It's a little bit lazy oversteer we get in this at the moment. We got damage to the rear wheels. The rear left looks like it's cambered a bit. It's not driven right since about 3 corners in. This is understandable and everything. I'm just trying to figure out what it is that's broken, what bits of the car are, I say needing protecting, but if there's a choice, if we could avoid maybe landing on a corner or something. Don't know though. We're across there. This section here is horrible to drive on. Big jump, we go. Oh, there's another, again, a big crunch. Is it bowing the chassis maybe? It does look like it has bowed the chassis a little bit. That won't be helping the handling issues. So the chassis of this thing is strong. We've seen it in all sorts of stuff when I played around with this game. You can really crash the Bolide hard, and the actual main frame of it does stay together quite well. I mean, it'll stop working, the engine will break or wheels will fall off and whatnot, but the actual frame itself is pretty tough. So the fact that we're bending it as much as we have already, this is a destructive course, this one. It's really the bending of the chassis that is the worst around here, and that leads to the drive shaft failures that we've seen so many of. Oh, that's neutral. So the rear wheel, rear left is very heavily cambered now. So something's going wrong in that corner suspension-wise. fly through the air. Now, I don't know whether I don't really want it landing flat and level if we can help it, because that's just putting more shock all through suspension. I think it's just torn off its own rear bumper. It has, but that's just how it all came off as a section. Is that front left wheel okay? Oh, it's very bad to drive now. Might have actually dug itself into the sand it has. So some of the race cars and supercars and all that will get stuck in the sand. So we're going to have to pull that free. We are allowed to do that, of course. Oh, okay, didn't like that. But in some ways going slower over there is probably better for the car this time around. That's a big hit, a big jump. We're going to go for a spin. Now, we are almost at the water. So this should give the car a nice little refreshing drink. Should cool it down a bit, I hope. The engine has now been damaged. The torque piston rings. Okay, so the engine's now poorly. That's not great, but we might be able to save it from blowing up through here. Oh, okay, neutral isn't what we wanted. Oh, okay, it's quite poorly. It's lost back. Now, admittedly, this car doesn't have much power low end anyway, and that damage is making it worse. It has cooled it a little bit, but yeah, the car below about 3,000 RPM doesn't have very much power to begin with. It feels like a crazy turbo lag. It's a naturally aspirated engine, but that's kind of the easiest way to explain it in some ways. No power low down, so if this... Well, no power low down normally, so with this damage it's now even worse. I wonder if I just... Yeah, that's probably a better way almost to get it going, is neutral, rev it up, and then go. I mean, it's still quick enough. It's not going to go out by the crawler rule at this moment in time. And once it has, as I said, it has got to speed, which is not that much slower than the Bolide Delorean. Once it's got going, the temperature's got all the way back down again. So God knows what that shallow grave did to the car. Oh, that's not good. Are you okay, car? Oh, the back wheels are at bad angles again. Not quite as bad as the DeLorean, but they're not far off. Oh, the approach to shafted is really difficult in this, especially now with increasing handling issues as geometry goes wrong. That's going to be a real fun times. The front wheels don't actually look too bad here. They've still got full steering. Suspension seems to be in one piece. It's just what the back of the car decides to do. And if it lets go at a critical moment, we could be in trouble. Oh, God. That didn't feel good. Didn't look good. It looks like we're bowing the chassis more over here. Could we see... I'd be really surprised if we saw this car, go out with a bent chassis like we saw with the Piccolino. Oh, we're gonna bounce. Yes, we are going to bounce awkwardly, but we're okay over there. Screen's just filled with smoke. I can't really see anything other than smoke at the moment, which isn't great. Ooh, those speed bumps become progressively nastier. Is my rear left suspension completely gone? I think it has. The rear left is got no suspension left. The rear right might not have any either. Maybe the completely busted chassis to the point of not being able to drive because it's beached itself on itself might not be that far flung, actually. This is seriously busted. Despite, I mean, you expect the overheating to be the big concern here, but it really isn't. It's the chassis damage and suspension damage. Come on, car. We can do this. Maybe. It's going to hurt itself across here, but it is going. It can still do it. Ish. Okay, we might have to go... Oh, come on. Come on. Can we free the car? Now, I'm allowed to pull the vehicle across if it's got beach. So the reason why we say this is to allow if cars go out because they beach, almost all supercars have issues or will go out very quickly. It's to give some of the cars that are kind of naturally lower a little bit of a chance. However, it's going to wreck itself if it keeps hitting those, basically. Oh, and I suspect this might have trouble next lap around. Oh, if it keeps doing that. How we've made the engine, temperature-wise, healthier than it was. That doesn't quite make sense. We're taking on so much water, maybe? Oh, that doesn't seem good. That definitely doesn't feel good. Just trying to rev it up and it just wouldn't even... Trying to rev it up in neutral and it didn't even want to go. He's still got the speed to make it. It's still not going to get counted out by the crawler rule as of yet. Yeah, it's still got enough pace about it. I guess also now because... I mean, the engine's so poorly it now can't work as hard because it's so busted, so maybe it's staying a little bit cooler. That's bad. Has that taken out the front wheel? How is this car still going? It's taken out a back wheel, I think. Oh, over we go. Clonk. Oh, the back end of this car is in such a bad way now. It's still going. All that glorious ride height we had to start with has since collapsed as the wheels and suspension gets more and more broken. It's still going. It's still moving. It crabs about horribly. I don't think it's going to like... Well, anything this course has to throw at it now, it's not going to be enjoying particularly. We're still 30 miles an hour. Actually quite nicely off that jump. That wheel is not even on the ground, I don't think, for a lot of this. So, I mean, that means it might be allowed to be a one-wheel drive if one of the wheels pops off or something. Maybe. Yeah, those barely touching the ground. Not looking forward to the speed bumps after turn 1. Not looking forward to Shallow Grave or to the checkerboard. How this hasn't been an engine failure, I don't know. That's the most surprising thing about this. Oh, it's having a bad time. It's gonna go for a spin. Yeah, it can't even rev up properly. It's weird that it's still working and not really doing more damage to itself. It's like it's got to a point where it's busted, but not really doing anything worse to itself. Okay, we've got to cross there. What is it broken in the process of getting across there? I think that wheel some more. Oh, God, it's really bad to drive now. Funnily enough, when that wheel's hopping around and not always on the road at all sorts of funny angles, it doesn't drive very well. And I can't really see where I'm going because of the smoke. So there is that. Into the water we head. It'll cool it a bit. Okay, now it's just crabbing its way up here. It's actually better across the checkerboard this time around. Yeah, we've made it, but it is a crab. We have got Bolide. The Bolide crab is going around here. Oh dear! If you get that weight transfer wrong, it's just, yep, we're going to spin now. There is nothing you can do about it because everything's broken. The front wheels, amazingly, the front wheels are actually not that bad. Oh, the shafted jump is about to go really badly wrong. This section, I mean, it is crabbing. That's not going to make it easy getting it through here. But we do still have decent steering. Oh, God. Just smoke. So much smoke is billowing out of this car. I'm actually struggling to see the vehicle in amongst all of this. That's why I'm farting around with the camera so much. I'm just trying to find a point where I can see where I'm going without too much of a weird perspective on it. I feel like we're about to have a really big crash up here because it didn't like this dirt section in pristine condition. Oh, no. It's gone over. Has it really made it worse, though? That is the question. It is already pretty buggered. Oh, okay. I might have flicked the car over a little bit too. Come on. Over we go. Do we still work? It made it look like a bloody bread van at the back. Well, from that side, kind of very squished bread van. Can it still even drive? Come on, car. We've got to give you a chance to see if it can pick up enough RPM to move. However, if it can't get going, there we go. It's got some movement. I fear this might actually go out on the... Does not go fully out on the crawler rule here. Because that is clearly not getting to 20 miles an hour, and without a lot of gravity assistance, I think that is the end of the Bolide. Now, I'm not sure... Well, it's going to blow the clutch up, actually, trying to do this. Yeah, that's some form of engine failure in that it can't actually get up the hill. The engine's now busted. Well, the engine let go. When it kept moving, it could survive with this level of damage, but trying to get going from a standstill, there's just a few too many hits. The suspension's completely destroyed at the back of the car. That is a tough old vehicle, that. That really did take a hell of a battering before it gave up. The engine survived way longer than it should have done. However, yeah, just one too many hits. The engine let go. And that was the end of the rally car. But that is a good show. That's the best a rally car has done around here. So that is certainly quite something. So, on to our leaderboard, and it is a great showing from the Bolide rally car. It'll move into an 8th place. It's ahead of the camper van, ahead of the pre-runner. It doesn't quite beat the I-Series or the likes of the Blue Buck and so on, but that is a good performance, isn't it? It's the best performance from a rally car around this circuit. Much, much further than we got with the standard Bolide. So, yeah, all in all, a pretty good run. Fairly spectacular death. There were very high levels of damage by the end of that one for the car. Just the engine didn't want to give up. We go a little bit further down, but still quite far up for the Legran Aerocoupe. And that is, I mean, for a front-wheel drive car, it's not doing too badly. Again, it's twice the distance the normal Legran got. In the end, yeah, the steering. It had, one of the drive shafts was gone. The steering was all sorts of broken as well and heading into the spinners. That's always a dangerous bit when you've got problems with the steering of the car. But I was impressed with that. I thought that could have struggled a lot more around this course. And yeah, 26th, not bad at all. The Delorean, also not a terrible showing for that vehicle. It's a 45th place. It's in a very warm part of the table, shall we say, with a whole heap of cars overheating at that section around the circuit. Yeah, I mean, the wheels were really broken on that car, and I'm amazed it was the overheating that killed it and not a wheel axle or some way, because it looked like the rear wheels were going to fall off. Amazingly, they didn't. But I think that's the way it goes sometimes. With these vehicles, it kept on going until the engine went pop. And there we go. That is going to be it for this episode. As ever, I shall link all the mods used in the description, so you can download them and have a go with them yourself. That, though, is going to be it from me. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, a goodbye.